and a Baltimore Ravens fan, an extra day of celebration. If Ray Lewis said the 24-hour rule, I'm going to go with the 48-hour rule this week. Have a little fun as we get ready to slay the beast up in Foxborough. Rich Garvin covers all things Patriots and has for a dozen years of Bill Belichick and Tom Brady and cheating and a lot of winning football as well. Up at the Worcester Telegram, you can follow his journey at Rich Garvin. That's GarVentG out on Twitter. You'll recognize it by the big empty Gillette Stadium there. It will not be empty next Monday. Rich, if there's anything a guy like Baltimore knows about a place like Foxborough, we know our way up there. We know our way around, and I don't think there's going to be any intimidation next Monday. And the one thing for sure is the Ravens are playing their best football right now.
No, for sure. It was interesting. The conversation quickly shifted on Sunday following the Patriots' kind of methodical and expected win over the Los Angeles Rams, and the conversation in the locker room switched quickly to Baltimore and the upcoming challenge there. And it's clear at least publicly, the respect the Patriots players have for the Ravens, because they just spoke about how they know it's going to be a competitive game. They know the Ravens come to play. They're well coached. And, you look at this series going back to 2007, the teams have met 9 times, and the Patriots have 6 wins out of the 9. 6 of those games were decided by 6 points or less, and one of them in overtime. And so of course,
I remember them all.
So obviously,
the good and the bad.
I think it's set up to be a very competitive game this week. And the Patriots typically peak in December. They have the best record in December in the league since 2001. And as you said, Nestor, the Ravens appear to be playing their best football this season right now. 4 wins in the last 5 games, and you get quality wins there in Pittsburgh and Miami.
Well, I mean, I've seen a lot of the Patriots this year, and from beating bad teams, losing to a pretty good Seattle team. I watched that one as well on that Sunday night. Gronkowski, I don't know where the measurement is of what they would look like if he weren't there at all, right? Like, what would it look like for 16 weeks? And I guess with Brady, whether it was Randy Moss or whether it was Deion Branch, I guess through the years, Troy Brown, whoever it is, he has made guys star receivers, but I think Gronkowski's sort of self-made in that way. I think he would have worked anywhere. He's an incredible mismatch, and as we found out around here with no Suggs, no Doomerville, no Mosley, no Smith, no Yanda, no Ronnie Stanley, when you're losing your best players, it's a lot harder to win, and he was by far their best weapon and the weapon that everyone had to account for, but no one really had an answer for.
Right. I mean, the tight end, Rob Gronkowski is certainly the best tight end in football today. I mean, he's for starters, he's the best blocking tight end in the game. He's the best receiving tight end in the game as well. I mean, Gronkowski currently leads the NFL in yards per catch at just over 21 a notch. We're talking NFL. Des Bryant, A.J. Green, better than any of those guys. He can stretch a field. Because
he can catch a 10-yard and carry a 15 and make it 25, right?
Right, and he catches a 25-yarder and turns it into 40. I mean, he really has good ability to get downfield. The thing is, I guess you look at it 2 ways here. He's been banged up over the years. I think the 4th season out of 7, he's missed some significant time. He's generally been at least nicked up in every season. So they played without him. They've been moderately successful without him. There's plenty of depth at the receiving position here this year. Rookie Malcolm Mitchell has come on incredibly, really gained Tom Brady's trust. Julian Edelman was nicked up earlier in the year. He's getting healthy right now. They have one kind of cause for concern there is Danny Amendola left the game yesterday with some type of right ankle injury, spotted after the game on crutches, and Amendola is the 4th on the depth chart right now. They also have newcomer Chris Hogan, who's averaging 20 yards a catch as well. But Amendola is key because they use him a lot on 3rd down, and he's been ridiculously successful. I mean, the vast majority of his catches have come on 3rd down, and not only that, they've turned into 1st downs. So missing him on top of losing Gronkowski would be, I think, definitely a blow for the offense, and it's something that bears watching leading up to Monday night's game here.
Edelman's a nice receiver, but it's water torture, isn't it?
I mean, he's really getting healthy right now. He looked sharp yesterday, coming out of his breaks. And, one of the things, they've been force-feeding him the ball the last few weeks. And one of the things the Patriots did yesterday, which I thought was interesting in terms of they finally came around to it. You always hear about Tom Brady looking for the open guy, and he really seemed to be locked in on Edelman the last 3 weeks, much to the detriment of the offense. The Patriots really spread the ball around yesterday, and much more productive with their targeting. And, I think that's what you're going to see with Gronkowski out as well, is you're going to see an honest-to-goodness spread-the-ball offense. And it makes them dangerous. And, the other thing is the Patriots, which we can get into, but the Patriots have a legitimate run game right now, and they don't have one running back that needs to be accounted for. They have 3 running backs that need to be accounted for.
Well, all that being said, the Patriots have played 3 teams that really stink the last 3 weeks, right? Like the notion that they would lose to San Francisco or the Jets, which they've done before, on good seasons with the Jets, and that was a closer game than we thought as well on Thanksgiving weekend. And the L.A. Rams, who are woeful, and with all the controversy coming with them, with Fisher and Dickerson and all the nonsense, and Goff as well, they're going to step it up and play a real game on Monday night. And I tell you what, the Ravens may be disrespected, certainly Flacco, but I saw this offense come together on Sunday in a way we haven't seen in a while. This is going to be a really, really interesting football game. I don't think there was any point in the first 10 weeks of the season where any Ravens fan would have given the Ravens any chance of going up to New England on a Monday night and winning based on the way they were playing, based on the injuries they had, based on the way Flacco was playing, and also the way the Patriots were hitting on all cylinders. It feels like the Patriots are a little vulnerable now. Agree or disagree with that, Rich?
Well, I would say, going back to your first point, I mean, you can't pick the competition you play. And one thing they did is they beat the teams they were supposed to beat. I mean, yes, they beat the Jets 2 weeks ago. But the Jets beat the Ravens in late October. So, the Ravens, probably should have won that game. The Ravens lose at home to Washington, which, quite frankly, I think is I would say average team at that. So, they're beating the teams they should beat. They haven't necessarily looked good in some of those games. And, the Jets, from the Patriots standpoint, that's a huge rivalry game. The last 7 games now have been decided by 6 points or less. I mean, the Jets-Patriots is the equivalent to Baltimore-Pittsburgh, maybe just not quite as violent. As far as vulnerability, the thing you really have to look at right now is, like I said, offensively, this is a team that has LeGarrette Blount's on the verge of rushing for 1,000 yards. James White, the third down back, is in the top 4 in the conference among running backs and receptions. They get Dion Lewis back 3 weeks ago, and he's looked dynamic since he came back from a torn ACL. And one of the things they've done, they really started to do yesterday, they ran it 6, maybe 8 times, is James White's about 5'10", listed. Dion Lewis listed at 5'8". They're both, kind of change of pace dynamic backs, and they paired them together in the backfield. And it's almost similar to something similar on the lines of the 2 tight end set they were using with Martellus Bennett and Rob Gronkowski. In other words, you've got these 2 guys out there. They can both run the ball. They can both catch the ball. They're both explosive in space. Well, let's put them out there together, and we'll send one way and one another and see what the defense does. So. And again, they have that depth at receiver with 4 quality guys, assuming Amendola comes back healthy. And look, Martellus Bennett was in the Pro Bowl 2 years ago. He's having a Pro Bowl caliber season, or had been having one, until he suffered an ankle injury around week 5. So, offensively, the skill position players are there. The offensive line has come together. Young group with 3 rookies or second-year players in the interior. And defensively, the Patriots probably played their best game of the season yesterday. I'm just going to temper that by saying, the LA Rams are far worse a team than I thought. So I'm not putting too much into that. But I don't think vulnerability is the right word right now. But I do think that, going back to an earlier point, Nestor, that the Ravens are one of a handful of teams. The Seattle Seahawks are one. The New York Giants are one. Quite frankly, they don't shake in their pants when they come into Foxborough Stadium like a lot of teams do. And we've seen plenty of teams come in Foxborough this year and play the Patriots for 3 quarters. The Patriots just wait them out because they know they're going to make a mistake. They know they're not going to play perfectly, and they're going to leave them that opening, and the Patriots jump through it. The Ravens aren't one of those teams, and that's that's one of the things I think that's a huge advantage for the Ravens coming in here on Monday.
That's because our head coach is more paranoid even than your head coach, and the Ravens send their recon in there on Sunday, and they rip out all the video and all the audio sound in the visiting locker room to make sure Belichick's not cheating.
I'm not sure what I can answer to that because I'm not privy to what goes on inside the
Well,
stadium.
I mean, you're the one covering all that and the conspiracy theories and all that stuff. There are a lot of teams that think that the Patriots have been cheating over the years and are quite paranoid about it, quite frankly.
Well, they must be doing it a ton because Tom Brady right now with 201 wins, not only is the winningest quarterback in NFL history, he's the only quarterback in NFL history to ever be 140 games over 500 for his career. So, there's something to be said for talent as well there. And, I mean, there's all sorts, I saw Coach Harbaugh with his interesting, the penalty-filled play last week, and I mean, trying to take advantage of the rules just like Coach Belichick would do. So, I think those guys are, it's funny because I think the organizations are more similar than their fan base on both sides will give them credit for. And by that I mean is they have great front office stability. They have excellent head coaches that have control over the program, and they do things differently with the way they run their locker rooms. But there's talent on both sides of the ball, and I think you're going to have some hiccups along the way, but generally speaking, the Patriots and the Ravens are going to be competitive every game week to week and every season week to week. And I think that really, when you look at this, I think that's one of the reasons this game was on Monday night and pegged in from the beginning of the year, because unlike some of these snoozers you get where, these games are put in April and, you look at some of these games you've seen, they're just horrific. Well, here we are in week 14 and we're going to get a quality game because that's what you would expect to get from Baltimore and New England. You're not going to get teams that are going to fall apart at the end of the year, typically speaking.
He is Rich Garvin. He's covered the New England Patriots for a dozen, mostly pretty good years at the Worcester Telegram. You can follow his journey out at Rich Garvin. That's GarvenTG out on Twitter. Not many franchises, to your point, would throw Jamie Collins over the side of the boat at the trading deadline to the worst team on earth and sort of walk away and say, we can play without him. That was kind of a fascinating thing. Did you see that one coming?
Didn't see it coming, disagreed with it too. The Patriots have this fondness for collecting like mid-round draft picks, thirds and fourths. And I mean, look, I get it. You can build depth in your team that way if you hit on them. And, quite frankly, the draft is a lottery. So the more kind of chips you have in there, the better chance you can get a hitting. But I would have kept him for the rest of the season. I find it hard to believe he was that out of control that they couldn't get a handle on him. I mean, Jabal Shear, they ran through some issues with the defensive end right after that. They benched him for a week, and Shear, turned around. Shear was benched 3 weeks ago for a game. They left him at home, didn't even bring him to San Francisco. And yesterday played his best game of the season, perhaps his best game since he came here last year from Cleveland. So I do disagree with that, but that's the way they roll up here. And, a lot of people simplistically put it down to the fact that Belichick was willing to give him up to send a message to the rest of the room. I just don't know if the message needed to be delivered that harshly.
You know what, a fascinating stat, and I'm just looking through the Patriots stat pack, and, they're so workmanlike, and they win games, and you don't spend a lot of time in Baltimore looking through Patriots stat packs when your own team's struggling. They've had 15 different guys sack the quarterback this year. 15 different guys. That's insane. I don't know that that's ever been done in the history of the league.
Yeah, what's interesting is the pass rush has been non-existent up here for most of the season. Yesterday was really the first day. It's come on in the last 3 weeks. The Patriots had 13 sacks in their first 8 games, and they have 13 sacks in their last 4. So they've definitely generated a pass rush. And, sacks aren't the end all. It's just it's a byproduct. What you really want to do is you want to have pressure in the pocket. You want to move the quarterback off the spot. You want to get him out of his rhythm. You want to knock him around. If you get a sack, that's a great finish to a play. But
if you get an interception, it's even better.
Right, and you can force him off a spot, and he turns the ball over. Yesterday was a perfect example. Logan Ryan, a cornerback, came up a corner blitz, didn't get to Jared Goff, couldn't sack him, but forced him to throw the ball away. And then later in the game, I think it was Rob Ninkovich, Jabal Sheard came in, didn't get the sack, but hit him. The ball popped in the air. Patriots came up with an interception. So, fans tend to fixate on sacks. And, it's a great finish to a play if you can get it. But going back to the point, the Patriots weren't getting pocket pressure. They weren't getting sacks. They weren't getting in the pocket at all. And they've done a much better job of doing that the last 4 weeks. And one of the things is defensive coordinator Matt Patricia seems to have taken on a more aggressive tone. He got grilled by the media about 3 weeks ago and really got hit hard in conference calls. And at one point, actually you could tell he was taking it personal. He says, "Well, that's a tough question." And but it's interesting. Since that time, there's no doubt his play calling has become more aggressive. The Patriots are playing with a little bit more of an attitude, less of a conservative approach, and again, the competition wasn't that great, but it certainly paid dividends on the field, and it'll be interesting to see if the Patriots go at a proven, polished quarterback like Joe Flacco in the same way they've been going at some of these other guys like Ryan Fitzpatrick and Jared Goff.
He is Rich Garvin, covering all things Patriots. He'll be there on Monday, and as will we. And Luke will be on the backfields all week in Owings Mills as we get the extra day. Marshall Yonda will be with us at Greenmount Station in Hampstead, Carroll County on Wednesday night. We'll be swabbing for the bone marrow registry as well. Rich, I'm going to ask this question. I'm going to talk to a lot of people who are on your beat and in your room. I know a lot of friends up there in the whole New England area. It's covered this team these many years. Bill Belichick. What do you like about Bill Belichick, and what do you dislike about Bill Belichick? Collectively, having done this for 12 years, and we always laugh about the toughest job is being the people in there having to ask him questions in front of the Dunkin' Donuts sign and the hoodie. You're one of those guys.
Well, I'll start with the dislike, I would say. I mean, the only pet peeve with Bill would be that for a guy who's remarkably successful as he is, and, I guess you can chalk it up. You can say his competitive nature has a hard time coming down after games, but I do think for a guy who's in his 60s and with the resume he has, he's a little mature after losses. He's also very predictable in the fact that, typically speaking, he does press conferences he'll do them on a Wednesday and a Friday in person and after a game. If he wins and they played lousy, or if he loses, he's terrible in the press conference. If he wins, he's okay. On Wednesday, it's the big day when all the cameras are there. They're getting their feed for the week. Not good in front of the camera. But Friday, more relaxed attitude, less writers. Game plan's been installed, much more relaxing. What do I like about him? I'm one of the smartest guys I've ever met in my life. I tell people all the time that Bill Belichick happened to be a football coach. No matter what he went into, my belief is whatever field he went into, he would not only been successful at it, he would have been at the top of his field. He's that smart. He sees things he looks at things in a box, he looks at things outside of a box, and tremendously, obviously he's a football coach, but great grasp of the game, whether it's the rule book, whether it's the history book. Fascinating person to talk to, and one of the other things, again, it goes back to, I just don't think he enjoys speaking in public. It's just a byproduct of his job, and he'll do a conference calls a couple times a week, and obviously no cameras there. Much more relaxed on the conference calls with us because he knows the writers are on there, and you're just speaking. He doesn't have to, I guess, look at cameras while he's doing it. But again, remarkably intelligent person, and you hear these things about finding loopholes in the rules. Well, that's what CEOs do in the world of business. They find loopholes in the rules, and that type of thing. So that's what I like about him.
Well, I tell you what, we're going to like some football on Monday. It's going to be a great, great night to be up there. I mean, you already got some snow earlier in the week, so, anything is possible from a weather standpoint. Rich, it's great to catch up with you, man. I enjoyed the visit. We'll be following your journey out at the Worcester Telegram as well as at Rich Garvin TG, and we'll maybe catch up after the game. We'll see how it turns out. Great,
Nestor. Anytime, and, like I said, should be a great game on Monday here.
I'll be great because I'll be warm and eating clam chowder. Great to have you on, Rich. Be well.
Great, thank you.
You got Rich Gardner from the Worcester Telegram joining us here. It's bonus. We get an extra day of fun to talk about the Patriots and the Ravens as we get ready on the back end of a 38-6 whitewashing of the Miami Dolphins, a fish fry, as I like to call it. My dad would have said shake and bake that Dolphin steak, but that's what happens when you grow up in 75 and 76. And as I was telling Luke Jones, I was at the Fog game, the Tony Linhart Fog game, the late great Tony Linhart. I would have called him and had him on the show this week if he were still with us, because he loved talking about the Fog game. Tony Linhart did. So a little shout out to him and his family as well. You can find me out in the Bayou Toyota Audio Vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. We do come in crystal clear, no static at all. Listen to what you want, when you want, how you want, where you want. It's what we do with WNST. Morning newspaper ships to your email inbox every morning at 7 a.m. It's brought to you by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com. It's always $10 a month to get in shape there, no matter how much eggnog or pumpkin pie or turkey or cookies. About to get into I haven't had a cookie yet. I don't feel like the holidays till I get me like a good sugar cookie or a butter cookie of some kind. Send those over. I'll need Planet Fitness in January, no doubt about that. Last but never least, breaking news happens first on our WNST tech service. That is brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. Dennis is going to be here on Thursday driving you home. It is the SSV on WNST. Heard 3 until 5 every Thursday as we get you ready for a pretty good Thursday night football game with Oakland and Kansas City, as well as Monday night with the Ravens and the Patriots. You can find me anytime, anywhere. I'm a very available individual. Nasty at WNST.net reaches me. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, and streaming live on our Facebook as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. Reminder, Marshall Yanda joins us on Wednesday night for the Bone Marrow Registry, and for There Goes My Hero. We're going to talk some football, some Pro Bowl, some Iowa, some Kirk Ferentz, some injuries, cattle prods. I'm talking about everything. It's Marshall Yanda. It'll be at Greenmount Station on Wednesday night. He's a good dude with a big beard and a hearty laugh. We'll get him out, loosen him up a little bit, have some fun, give him a crab cake. We'll see you up at Greenmount Station on Wednesday night. Our live performances also seen and spotted on Facebook and on YouTube. I'm Nestor. This is WNST.net AM 1570 and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.